All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're not just telling a story, we're performing an autopsy on one, digging into the essential, and yeah, often painful truths of a D&D campaign that went right off the rails.
So, let's just start with this little whisper from the darkness, shall we? This was a promise whispered to one of our characters right at the moment her faith completely, well, shattered. And you gotta understand, this isn't just some spooky line of dialogue. It's basically the mission statement for this whole tragic affair.
Because, yeah, this is not a story about heroes. Not even close. It's a story about the bill that comes due when you try to be one. It's about what happens to good intentions in a world that, frankly, just chews them up and spits them out. So, let's meet our subjects, shall we?
All right, Section 1, a roster of the damned. And yeah, that's the right word for them. See, to really get what's going on here, we have to forget about class and race and all that stuff. We're going to introduce these people by the cracks in their souls.
So, first up we have Aviana, the paladin. Or, at least she was a paladin. She was supposed to be the ideal, right? The righteous warrior, the bastion of faith. But the reality? Well, the reality is that when push came to shove in a really nasty fight, she threw her sacred oath right out the window just to get an edge. And of course, in that exact moment of weakness, something was waiting in the dark for her. Turns out an oath is just a promise you haven't been desperate enough to break yet.
Next, we've got Bard, the artist. The ideal here was a keeper of stories and songs. The reality? He died. Just straight up died. And in that void, he made a deal with some weird metallic entity for a return trip to the land of the living. The price? Oh, you know, just a little future favor. Now he's haunted by these awful visions of him murdering people, and his songs are kind of drowned out by the weight of a debt he has no idea how to pay.
And to round out our little trio of personal disasters, there's Iris. She was supposed to be just a quiet tavern helper. You know, the foundling raised by a kindly druid. The reality? Oh boy. The reality is that she's a living shard of a god named Aesir, and her destiny is something called Godfall. And that book she's been lugging around? Turns out it's a recipe for bringing darkness to the entire world. So, you know, no pressure. So, the price of protection, a case study in catastrophic failure. I mean, think about it. You've got an Oathbreaker paladin, a bard who literally made a deal with something after he died, and a girl who is a piece of a god meant to end all gods. What happens when this crew tries to do something simple? You know, like protect one guy from some gangsters? Well, you get a masterclass in how to fail.
And just look at how fast it all went wrong. I mean, this is a timeline of less than 24 hours. Their task? Protect this innkeeper, Cinderus. What do? They immediately lose the 1,000 gold protection money to a bunch of kid thieves. Then the gangster leader shows up and just beats Cinderus unconscious right in front of them. And the next morning, they find him hanging from the rafters. It's just a complete, spectacular collapse of the heroic ideal from start to finish.
Next up, a bestiary of horrors. Let's talk about some of the charming locals. Because you have to understand, it's not just that our main characters are a mess. The world they live in, it's not some fantasy kingdom. It's more like a series of escalating health and safety violations.
Yeah. If you want to survive here, you need a very specific kind of travel guide. For example, if you see some naked, wounded refugee kids, they're probably doppelgangers, and yes, they've definitely already eaten your horse. Oh, and if you kill one, pro tip, eating their eyes gives you see invisibility for a day. Also, the local soothsayer, she's missing a finger. Why? Well, she claims it got stuck in her skeletal servant's rear end, got tainted, and had to be lopped off. This is the world we're dealing with.
All right, gods, grannies, and gossip. Because amidst all the soul-crushing, grotesque horror, you get these moments of just profound absurdity. It's the kind of dark humor that's probably the only thing keeping them from going completely insane.
And yeah, this kind of illustrates the point perfectly. After everything, after facing ancient evils, after bargaining with cosmic beings, after confronting their own literal and figurative demons, this is the official party name they landed on. Light titties. Brilliant.
And this really gives you a feel for a typical day in their lives. Step 1. Aviana's soul is formally claimed by a fear god, breaking her sacred oath and changing the very core of who she is. Step 2. The party immediately goes and loses 10 gold at a blackjack table. It's this whiplash between existential cosmic horror and just petty mundane failure that really defines their whole experience.
You know, it's the little details that really paint the picture. Take the local orcish wine, for example.
It's a vintage from the Third Age. Sounds fancy, right? Well, the unique flavor profile consists of grapes, raspberries, and rat blood. That's just listed there on the menu. A legitimate tasting note. This is the grim, yet somehow totally mundane reality they live in.
So, we come to the punchline. After all of this, the prophecies, the broken oaths, the bloodshed, the eaten horses, the existential dread, what's the bottom line? What's the one thing that really, truly sums up their entire journey?
I mean, really, what is the takeaway here? After all the grand quests and the world-ending threats, what single, raw human moment truly captures this beautiful, dysfunctional tragedy they're living through?
It comes down to this. This right here. This is the actual entry from the session notes. Not some epic prophecy, not a detailed battle report, not a deep philosophical reflection, just that. A stark, factual, and deeply, deeply human statement. And it's a perfect reminder that sometimes, even when you're supposed to be saving the world, life is just messy. It's awkward. And it is brutally, unceremoniously real. And you know what? Maybe that's the only truth that was actually worth writing down.